talking about domestic politics now. Earlier in the programme, we spoke to your colleague, the Conservative MP, Craig Whittaker. He said that he thinks Boris Johnson needs to step down because if you make the law, you can't then break the law. He's right, isn't he?
I take a different view to Craig. I mean, he's a valued friend and colleague of mine. But I do think that Boris Johnson is the right person to be leading the country. I can't see, at a time when there are such big issues, like a European war, like a emerging and escalating economic crisis, that we would want to get into the territory of a leadership election and contemplating changing leader. That doesn't seem to me to be in the national interest.
I've heard this argument before, that, you know, we're in a time of war, so we can't change the leader. I mean, we aren't at war, are we? Obviously, Ukraine is at war. But also there's precedent for changing Prime Minister and leader even when we are at war. We changed leader during World War I, twice during World War II.
Well, I think those are, with respect, quite poor comparisons. The times that Prime Ministers have resigned in the past have generally been because there's been a catastrophic failure of the government's central policy.
But some like people Neville would say that
like Anthony Eden.
Some people would say
Theresa May.
Some people would say that there's been a catastrophic failure of public confidence in the Prime Minister because, as we heard from our panellists, quite a lot of them think that he's lied.
Well, your panel was actually quite split from the conversation I heard, and that there were certainly people on the panel who felt that this has been a sorry episode, that it's something that should clearly not have happened. However, there are very important issues facing the country, and it sounded to me as if some of your panellists, at least, wanted us to move on and concentrate on those big issues. That's how I feel. I think that politics now needs to be focusing on the cost of living above all, and in the war in Ukraine as well. These are issues of huge importance, and we should be careful about being diverted. That's not to say that we should trivialise what's happened. I think the Prime Minister is embarrassed, mortified by what's happened. He's apologised to Parliament. I think that was the right thing to do. But I do now think, as a Member of Parliament, I'm not a member of the government, that these issues that the public really need to be front and centre now are the cost of living, are Ukraine, are those issues of huge national and international importance.
You say you think the Prime Minister's mortified. Is that from the public statements he's made, or have you heard anything from him privately on that?
Yeah, I've spoken to him privately, and of course I've listened to the various public statements that he's made.
Did you ask him for reassurances then?
I have asked him for reassurances. There is no way he would want this to have happened. He feels extremely embarrassed that it has. I don't think that he would have knowingly breached the rules. He didn't think that he was breaking the rules at the time.
So he didn't understand the rules that he created?
Well, the incident that we know most about, the one that he's received the fixed penalty notice for, you do have to remember that Downing Street themselves briefed out information about that in the days immediately following, almost 2 years ago. So at the time, they didn't think that they were in breach of the rules. That's not to justify it, because I think that it was a mistake and shouldn't have happened. But it does give you a sense that the Prime Minister was not setting out to break his own rules. This was, I think, an honest mistake. What I think is most important now is that he does apologise and that we focus on the big issues.
Quickly, Labour, of course, tabling a motion tomorrow to say that the Privileges Committee should investigate whether or not the Prime Minister misled the House. Would you support that investigation?
Well, the first thing is that the government is actually tabling an amendment to that, which means that there will be an opportunity to vote on this as a Member of Parliament once we're equipped with the final report by Sue Gray, and I think most importantly of all, the final verdict of the police as to whether any further fixed penalty notices are served. So I would urge colleagues to wait and to vote however they wish to, once they're equipped with the full facts. I do think there should be quite a high threshold before you create one of these investigations. They're extremely rare. Very few of these have happened. I can't think of a precedent whilst I've been a Member of Parliament. And so we shouldn't do this for incidents which are relatively minor, which I think, in fairness, the one for which the Prime Minister has been served a fixed penalty notice is. It may be that when we're equipped with the full facts and the Sue Gray report, that we change our mind, or I change my mind, and there is actually a case to have a full investigation by the Privileges Committee. But it sounds to me as if the government has come up with a perfectly reasonable answer at the moment, which is, let's have that debate when we all know what the true facts are.